Welcome to the Monks Academy, an educational channel where we explore the realm of decentralized finance so you can take charge of your financial future. A project powered by the Om Monks for the Om Finance community. Welcome guys to another Monks Academy episode. Today's episode is all about stablecoins, in preparation for the much awaited Icon Bridge rollout. Hopefully you guys ask your questions, even if it's not specifically related to stablecoin and you want to get some information from us, please raise your hand. Raise the hand with the raise the hand icon button, and we'll get you on. So super excited to have with us fellow monk Stephen. Hi Stephen, how's it going?
Doing well, thank you, Rush. Nice to be here again.
Fantastic. And today, as I've said already, understanding stablecoins. I just want to get your take on. I mean, there's when you talk about stablecoins, it's a vast topic. There's different types of stablecoins which you will get into, obviously. And also there's a lot of controversy of late with the USD. Is it sustainable? Is there enough liquidity to ensure it sustains itself? A lot of questions and also a lot of FUD going around whether the USD will bring down the whole the Terra ecosystem, and would it have rippling effects to crypto in general? So a lot of questions on that of late. Before we get into that, what are stablecoins, Stephen? I mean, what are the different types of stablecoins? We hear a lot about stablecoins, and we'll hear a lot about it, Icon Bridge, when we bridge with different ecosystems in the Binance Smart Chain, in Harmony, in Near, in potentially other networks as well partnered with us. How do you go about answering that? Like, what are the main types of stablecoins out there?
Yeah, indeed, stablecoins are quite important for any ecosystem. It's one of the reasons why we're doing it today. First of all, because they are important in DeFi ecosystems. Also, important part of taking profits. So that's why we thought it was a good gateway with Icon Bridge coming closer to release, to start looking into stablecoins and those that are available on different BTP partner networks. So let's kick off indeed, like you said, with the type of stablecoins that there are. There are four main types of stablecoins, which can be divided into two categories. Those two categories being trustless and trust in custodians or audits. So maybe kick off with the ones that are most known. So it's the ones in the category of trusting custodians and audits. It's the fiat-backed currencies like USDT, USDC, or for an Icon native one, USDS. So it's the most popular stablecoins, and they are backed one-on-one with fiat currency. In theory, we also know that sometimes there are other backings which should represent the same type of value. And the underlying collateral isn't another cryptocurrency. So this type of stablecoins is considered an off-chain asset, and fiat collateral remains in the reserves with a central issuer or a financial institution, and must remain proportionate to the number of stablecoin tokens in circulation. So this is the fiat-backed type. Then you also have assets or commodity-backed stablecoins or collateralized using physical assets like precious metals, oils, or real estate, for example. The most popular commodity for this type is gold. Tether Gold, which is XAUD, or Paxos Gold, XG, are two of the most liquid gold-backed stablecoins. However, it's important to note that these commodities can and more likely to fluctuate in price, and therefore have the potential to lose a bit of a value. And they are also less used in DeFi ecosystems. Then moving on to the second type, which is the trustless, where you have the crypto backed, like DAI, or looking into the icon ecosystem, BNUSD. As the name implies, crypto collateralized stablecoins are backed by another cryptocurrency as collateral. This process occurs on-chain and employs smart contracts instead of relying on a central issuer. Crypto collateralized stablecoins are also over collateralized to buffer against price fluctuations and in the required cryptocurrency collateral assets or assets. And then the final one is an algorithmic stablecoin. The most known in the market is Terra USD or USD. It's algorithmic stablecoins. They do not use fiat or cryptocurrency as collateral. Instead, their price stability results from the use of specialized algorithms and smart contracts that manage the supply of tokens in circulation. An algorithmic stablecoin system will reduce the number of tokens in circulation when the market price falls below the price of the fiat currency it tracks. Alternatively, if the price of the token exceeds the price of the fiat currency it tracks, new tokens enter into circulation to adjust the stablecoin value downwards. So that, in short, highlights the different type of stablecoins that we have currently.
Fantastic. Yeah, so just in summary, as you mentioned, so there's two main types. There's trustless and trust in custodian. So trust in custodian has two types. Basically, a fiat-backed stablecoin, like obviously USDT and USDC, and asset-backed commodity-based stablecoins, which like uh, Paxos Gold.
Paxos
Uh,
Gold.
yeah,
Yeah.
for example. So, and of course, on the other side of the spectrum, we have the trustless version, which is decentralized and obviously is not uh, controlled in any shape or form by any government entity or a specific commodity. So, obviously, the types of algorithmic stablecoin and crypto-backed stablecoin. So, which you mentioned USD and I. So is that a fair assumption of the different types?
Yeah, that's a good summary indeed.
Good summary, yeah. Yeah, what I really want to get into next, Stephen, is obviously um we're obviously going into Icon Bridge hopefully this month. Nothing confirmed yet, but with news of Wonder Game NFT cross an NFT sale that's going to happen. Very good news because cross-chain messaging wasn't going to be so advanced. So it's great news that uh, the team has confidence to release that right from the onset. So very, very hopeful that Icon Bridge should be out soon enough with the token transfers. So with that in mind, um, can we talk a bit about the ecosystem, the Icon ecosystem stablecoins?
Yeah. Well, let's maybe first kick off with Icon itself. Most of us already know it, but there are always a few that do not know all the details. So let's see what we have available on Icon. So the most well known, of course, is BNUSD, which can be minted via balanced DAO. It's currently only ICX backed, but there are plans to make it the most diverse crypto asset backed stablecoin, and this will be enabled by Icon Bridge BTP going live. Then you have USDS, which is 100% USD fiat-backed stablecoin issued by Stably on several different blockchains, of which Icon is one. The bridge pay widget can be used for easy fiat on-ramp into USDS by using email and bank account. And then you have also the Icon wrapped versions of the Ethereum-based stablecoins USDC and USDT. On Icon, they are known as iUSDC and iUSDT. And those are brought into our ecosystem, so wrapped via Orbit Bridge. So that's a short breakdown of what we currently have for stablecoins within our own Icon ecosystem.
I think a
Then
question that comes up, Stephen, quite a bit is I know a lot of community members ask this once in a while on OM as well as on the Discord. Why do you think why the need for quite a few stablecoins in the ecosystem?
so many different, yeah, indeed. That's also something that we heard and have also discussed in previous academy sessions. So it's a good topic to revisit. Well, I think it's important to note that they all serve different purposes. For example, BNUSD, this gives you leverage on your ICX. So people that have a large amount of ICX or a small, doesn't matter, you can use it as collateral and you can mint BNUSD, which means you can take leverage of your ICX asset that you have. So this is a clear advantage of BNUSD and why it brings additional liquidity into our ecosystem created from the ICX asset. Then why is it also important to have, for example, a fiat-backed stablecoin in our ecosystem? Like USDS, because it's another gateway. So BNUSD is easy for people that are already in crypto, but USDS, especially via Bridge Pay, is an easy on-ramp between your bank account and crypto. So again, we're talking about bringing liquidity into our ecosystem. So the more gateways that you have, especially also to fiat, because in reality, most payments that we do each day are still in fiat. We're still being paid in fiat. So those gateways are important. So a fiat-backed stablecoin, therefore, certainly has its use. And then why do you need then the wrapped versions from others? It's also easy. There is a lot of those in circulation. If you have incentive, if you create incentive within your ecosystem, which brings higher utility than in others, then you're able to bring liquidity from other ecosystems easily into yours. And why not encourage that? So for me, they all serve a specific purpose, even if some might at the moment have low liquidity in our Icon ecosystem. As soon as we create the utility for it, I'm sure the liquidity will follow.
Fantastic. So what you're suggesting is the reason we have so many different stablecoins is because they each have a specific purpose and a specific convenience for different demographic of users in Icon. So as you said, and also I
Yeah, and
remember.
also and also and also not some people have more trust in a fiat backed than in a crypto backed because crypto backed also has its risk, of course, because it's subjected to potential hacks of the smart contracts. On the other hand, for the fiat backed, you have to have the trust in the custodian. So also there, it serves different purposes. Some people do not like to have trust in those centralized custodians, and some people are a bit wary of potential hacks of the smart contracts of the crypto-backed or the algorithmic stablecoins.
Yeah, and also I remember, I mean, when Ohm launched, I think one of the one of the key one of the key plans that they wanted to have was somehow trying to get the Ethereum users onto the platform. And I remember the airdrop also was a way to get the Ethereum users, and that's another reason why you have wrapped versions of the stablecoins on Ethereum, like IUSDC and IUSDT on Ohm, was to get the liquidity from Ethereum, which I'm not sure how successful that was, but that was the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I mean, moving on to the other stable coins in the other networks. Well, I guess
Yeah,
before we go into stable coins and other networks, I mean, we can't not talk about USD. I know Terra is not as it stands, not going to is not one of the BT partners yet, or Icon Bridge partners. But yeah, I think it's important that we go into a little bit about USD.
yeah, indeed, of course. Yeah. Yeah, we cannot talk about stablecoins without talking about the one that is in the news most often lately, which is the Terra Luna USD algorithmic stablecoin. So it's a blockchain protocol built on Tendermint, which is the Cosmos SDK. It's supported by a basket of fiat-backed coins, so people do not always think about it because the USD version, USD, is most known, but there are many other currencies um, on the Terra stablecoin network. And of course, USD is most known due to the high lending yield via Anchor protocol. So USD is an algorithmic stablecoin, which means that the cost of minting is equal to the face value of the minted stablecoins. It uses Luna, which is Terra's native cryptocurrency, as a reserve asset. In other words, if you want to mint USD, only $1 worth of Terra Luna's token is burned out of the system. So that's in short how minting of USD works, being an algorithmic stablecoin. And the main
Interesting.
use case that we have at the moment is on Anchor protocol. A bit later, we will also be talking about yields. So we will be talking about that topic a bit later.
Yeah, I think there's also, I mean, USD has come into a lot of criticism of late, especially Ducon's idea of buying Bitcoin and backing USD with Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's not a it's not a algorithmic stablecoin if you are backing it with crypto. What is the reasoning behind that?
Well, the Terra Luna has been purchasing BTC to add to Terraform's lab reserves through a non-profit organization, Luna Foundation Group, as part of backing for its Terra USD stablecoin. And an announcement was made that Terra USD would be backed by at least 10 billion worth of Bitcoin, among other assets. So, in my opinion, these BTC purchases seem to serve as an additional guarantee for backing the value of USD, because it's not actually part of the balancing mechanic design. So it should be seen more like a war chest. Should any action be required to combat a falling peg, and it seems, and create more market confidence in a way like gold-backed fiat currencies once had. So I think we should see it more like that because it's not a crypto-backed stablecoin. So that's more or less my opinion about that.
So are the fears warranted when they say that USD is is inevitably going to fail because at the end of the day, they need to have always have fresh liquidity coming in. I think one of the successes of the USD, the fiat dollar, obviously everyone knows it's not really backed by anything. I think ever since Nixon's time, when they took off the dollar out of the gold standard, um, it was pretty much a promise. It's just only a letter, pretty much stating a certificate stating that the government is backing it. But at the end of the day, there's no asset that's backing it. But what it does, USD has that no other currency has, is it has a use. It is a world currency. It's used for everyday trade. Everyone uses it around the world. So since everyone uses it, there is demand. Even if the US keeps printing money, uh, since the world demand is such that it can swallow that excess demand, excess supply, then everything is good in the hood. So translate that to a stablecoin concept, like algorithmic stablecoin. The more money they print, there has to be uh, demand for it. Otherwise, there will be a potential point where it could collapse. Do you see that? Do you see that as a problem, or do you think a lot of it is exaggerated in terms of fears?
Well, I think there is certain an aspect of exaggeration, and they're gaining a lot of spotlight, USD, which always attracts a lot of criticism from from competitors or non-believers or I certainly think high trees catch a lot of wind. This is what they say. I think this is also the case here. Um, of course, I'm not a smart contract specialist. I'm not 100% sure that such algorithmic stablecoins are whether they are impregnable, yes or not. So time will tell. So far, they seem to hold up well. They have been battle tested already a little. So is it worse than others than other crypto backed? So far, not. So yeah, it's hard to say whether it's 100% safe or not. I don't think we're still early. I don't think anything can be excluded.
Mhm. But one thing,
But of course, the reason that they are buying such a large amount of Bitcoin as an additional reserve, does that mean that they think they will need it someday? Is it just as an additional guarantee? Is it to create more confidence? Yeah, that's also questions, of course. Whether the algorithmic stablecoin itself is self sustainable or not.
but one thing for sure, what they're trying to do, Duquan and the team is really trying to do is looking outside the ecosystem. They're looking to get USD adopted on various other chains, various other pools. I think 4pool was the latest one concept that they're trying to kind of involve USD, trying to bring in new liquidity from other chains. So I guess the same I guess logic that you can use where the dollar, the US really wants to be in world trade in other countries. I guess that's a similar kind of adoption that I guess USD is trying to do as well.
Well, I think that's the aim of every stablecoin issuer to have as much as liquidity as possible for their own stablecoin. When we talk about Polkadot later, and we also see there the actions that they have taken to promote their stablecoin.
Yeah, and also, I think the newest kid on the new kid on the block, so to speak, in terms of stable coins is the near one, USN. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so it's indeed quite new. So there are not many use cases at the moment. It was just recently announced. It was quickly taken into the news because some people were mentioning a potential competitor for USD, also as far as yield would go, because a 20% yield was briefly mentioned somewhere. That I think is already being reduced to a firm 10% yield. 20% that was mentioned is probably for early adopters, which is quite normal in the beginning of new things to having higher yield, which will drop later on. So, but near the USN is indeed the first near native stablecoin.
Stablecoin.
It's issued by central bank, and users can mint USN using Near through the Near web wallet, which is wallet.near.org. Users can also swap between USN and USDT on Finance Ref stable swap. It's a dApp on Near. USN maintains its peg through on-chain arbitrage and a self-balancing reserve fund. And the central bank is a DAO managing the USN reserve fund and main smart contract operations. The DAO can vote to stake Near from the reserve fund, meaning that USN automatically can generate yield based on the Near staking rewards. So what they're saying is that they're more or less, once they do that, more or less there is a minimum yield on USN being the Near staking APY, which currently sits at 11%. So USN, like I said, it's quite near. They're talking that it would soon become available for lending on the different AMAs that are currently live on Near, which is Bastion Protocol, Origami Finance, and Burrow Cash. So those three are probably interesting also for Iconists once Icon Bridge goes live to Near, to go check out what the cross-chain opportunities are there. But we will of course cover that in another episode.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think yeah, Nia is well, we know for sure that Binance Smart Chain and Harmony are the integrations are done. So I think Nia is around the corner from previous monthly updates we've got. So what can you tell about? Obviously, pretty much everyone knows about BUSD, but since it's going to be the first or one of the first chain Icon Bridge partners, what can we expect from BUSD, and what should we know about BUSD?
Well, BUSD, it's quite simple. It's a fiat-backed stablecoin, one-on-one backed, and it's issued by Binance in partnership with Paxos. So there's not much to tell about that, except that, of course, Binance has an active DeFi community, and the BUSD plays a nice role into their DeFi ecosystem. So that's something to take note of for Iconists again when Icon Bridge goes live. That it would be an asset worth having a swap for with our stablecoins.
Yep. And of course, what's the other one? Yeah. So we obviously Polkadot and Kusama is another couple of chains that we're going to be integrating with in the future.
Well,
What do we have to offer, and what does Polkadot and Kusama have to offer in terms of stablecoins?
maybe again because not all Iconists know the difference between Polkadot and Kusama. So
Mhm.
Polkadot is the and then people will hate it when I say testnet and mainnet because that's not true. Both are live mainnets. They both have economical value. but Kusama is usually seen as a battleground mainnet where you go first before you go live on Polkadot. And this is also the strategy that Icon is doing with Snow and Ice chain. First, they will launch Snow on Kusama, and afterwards, they will launch Ice on Polkadot. But of course, Kusama therefore is live a lot longer than Polkadot, and you will see certain DeFi protocols like AMAs and DEXs already live on Kusama, while Polkadot still doesn't have them live because they just recently got their slot, or they are still trying to gain a slot. There are already more parachain slots live on Kusama than there are on Polkadot. But within that ecosystem, there is one native stablecoin, which is AUSD. It's a crypto-backed stablecoin. It can be minted both on Akala and on Karura. Akala and Karura is very much similar to as for the services that they provide as balanced. So one of the services is minting of a stablecoin, and you can use DOT, so Polkadot, KSM, Kusama, Aka, which is Akala token, Car, which is the Karura token, Ethereum, and BTC as collateral to mint the AUSD stablecoin. So it's already quite well diversified stablecoin. Now, Akala, together with 9 other parachain teams from within the ecosystem, and a group of venture funds have launched a $250 million AUSD ecosystem fund. So the fund is seeking early stage projects from any Polkadot or Kusama parachain with a strong AUSD use case. So the fund is backed by leading VCs, including Digital Currency Group, Almeida, Kraken Ventures, Arrington Capital, Pantera Capital, Jump Crypto, Hashed, and so on. So well-known VCs are jumping onto that story, and this is something that that highlights that having utility for a stablecoin is quite important.
Indeed, for sure. I think having different types of utility is hugely important, and also you need obviously uh, stakeholders backing it.
Yeah. And this is
Controversial.
something that we already discussed, Arash, doing maybe a different episode on, inviting Scott Smiley from Balanced over to talk about what his vision is on on creating use cases for BNUSD. Especially if you see that you have to compete with USD, for example, or with AUSD, who have a 250 million fund. So I think that will also be a nice topic for our next academy session,
Yeah,
for a
indeed,
future academy session.
indeed. But yeah, I think um, but I really like how the dynamic of BNUSD is set up, because it's going to be ICX backed, obviously, and with the way the model of BTP works, obviously, it's going to be ICX transactions, and obviously there's going to be ICX burn. There's going to be obviously ICX utilized. So I guess when there's more utility for ICX and more backing for ICX, then BNUSD is backed by a much stronger cryptocurrency, which in effect strengthens BNUSD. So I really like the model right now, and I think if that's the picture, or that's the goal or vision of it, I think it really augurs well for the sustainability of BNUSD.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, I agree. I'm looking forward to having multiple also multiple collateral types on backing BNUSD, and yeah, this will all become available when we have I can bridge and BTP live.
Also, what can you tell us about Harmony? Because obviously Harmony is one of the integrations that's complete and
Mhm.
it's ready to be launched with Wonder Game. What do we have to offer? What does Harmony have to offer in terms of stablecoins?
Yeah. Well, in preparation to this episode, I of course deep dived into the Harmony ecosystem as well, and of course I can be mistaken because entering a new ecosystem is quite difficult to do. You know from knowing the Icon ecosystem, if someone new joins, there is so much to learn that it's not easily done on a short term. But apparently, at the moment, Harmony doesn't have its own native stablecoin. So they do
Interesting.
have an interesting DeFi ecosystem, but it all works on wrapped stablecoins from other networks. So
Interesting.
that's really quite interesting to note. But this is also one of the focuses of Harmony is also building bridges. So they not in a way that Icon does it, being a hub with two-way bridges connecting all of them together. So I think for Harmony it's a bit less interesting because it's all separate bridges that they're doing and they all have to maintain them. But yeah, so there might be interesting connections to be made to Harmony, but not with their native stablecoins.
Interesting. I did not know that. Interesting to see. I think right off the bat, I think Icon and Icon Bridge can take some advantage from that aspect. Another one is Algorand. They've been huge on the news with partnership with FIFA. A lot of talk in the crypto space about that partnership. Obviously, it's very well known that Algorand gave Icon a grant to help with to connect uh, to them with BTP. Is this good news? Is bullish news? Does that mean that BTP and Icon gets to gain from this partnership?
Yeah. Well, yeah, Algorand is indeed an interesting one as well to be connected to. So the fiat-backed stablecoins like USDT and USDC, they are all available on multiple networks. For example, USDC is available on Ethereum, on Algorand, on Solana, Stellar, Tron, Hedera, Avalanche, and Flow. So Algorand has both native USDT and USDC. But on the other hand, volume is quite low compared to the amount that is minted on, for example, Ethereum or Tron. But they do have those natively in their ecosystem. So it's also an advantage, of course, for them and also for the amount of transactions on their network. Now, apart from that, they also have an algorithmic stablecoin, STBL, stable, as you can call it, that is native to the AlgoFi lending protocol. And they have it in there in order to increase capital efficiency. So the premise is that it functions via the same basic premise as the rest of the protocol over collateralization. So 1 trillion STBL were minted and irretrievably deposited into the AlgoFi protocol. This is also the max supply that ever can be brought into existence. And the users of AlgoFi are able to deposit any of the supported assets and mint STBL against their collateral. So each STBL that is released into circulation will be fully backed by user collateral, just like any other loan issued by the AlgoFi protocol. So if the AlgoFi protocol is quite interesting because it's a two-in-one. So it's like you would merge balanced and ohm together. But then, or more or less, have like, for example, ohm would issue their own stablecoin in a way, but just that you can use your collateral to lend as an yeah, you can use your collateral that you have on Ohm to lend and mint the stable coin. So that's how they work. So that's also an interesting one. There are also other stable coins on Algorand, but yeah, those are not really used in DeFi ecosystems or real estate backed, gold backed, other fiat backed stable coins. But I think mostly it would be interesting to focus on the fiat backed USDT, USDC, and then the stable algorithmic stable coin that they have.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's very, very informative. I think you also wanted to. I think we wanted to touch on yields, because which is a very important one when we talk about DeFi through the use of interoperability and more specifically Icon Bridge. Before we go
Yeah.
on that, does anyone have any questions? I know Mary Chain has a question. Hi guys, I know about USDT and USDC. Is there any stablecoin that relates to euro or is backed by euro? I think there is.
Yes, there are. I think even also on Terra, but the problem is that there is not so much liquidity and they're not really used in DeFi a lot. So yeah, I'm also from the Eurozone myself. I'm also still waiting for a viable Euro stablecoin which can provide a proper yield. But at the moment, I have not found it yet.
Yeah, I think liquidity is the issue. Um,
Yeah.
but I think we covered quite a bit of area and points. So before I guess we go into the next section on yield, I think it's important that any questions if you guys have, I'd like to hear from you, or you can just drop in your questions. We'll be happy to answer it. Um, Yeah, in the meantime, if until there's questions coming in, I know we touched about yield, Stephen, on the few episodes back,
Mhm.
on yield farming strategies and the use of comparing the different APYs with different
Yeah.
ecosystems. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
That also ties in.
what do we yeah,
Sorry.
sorry, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, I see another question of Mary Chain, so that also ties in what she's asking for the best place to stake USDC or USDT. So this will be answered by what we are saying now. So it all depends also what do you prefer? Do you prefer centralized or do you prefer decentralized? Again, some people do not like a central custodian, and others do not like the risk of smart contract risk being hacked. So again, here this also has to keep you have to keep this in mind when making your decisions. But when we look at the centralized platforms, the yields have been coming down, both areas. Only one that is still quite stable that I've seen is IconFi, which is still sitting at 11% for USDT and USDC, making it also one of the highest one that I have seen for these two assets. Then Celsius gives a 7.10% yield. Crypto.com about 8%. BlockFi 7% and Nexo also 8%. So Nexo does, however, maybe that's also an interesting one for Mary Chain. Next, if you're happy with 8% yield, Nexo does allow fiat staking. They do convert it on their platform into a euro stablecoin, but this happens behind the scenes. So if you're happy to stake your euros on Nexo, you can have an 8% yield without any risk in volatility between USD and and euro. However, having it in USD has been beneficial lately compared to
Yeah,
the euro.
yeah, I think that's another point I want to really mention, Mary Shane, is it's important that you see the dollar really getting stronger in relation to other fiat currencies. So I think the smart move is rather than looking for euro pegged stablecoins, euro backed stablecoins, I would recommend anything to do with USD. If you're holding any currency backed or any currency, I would recommend holding in USD, especially now or in the short term. But again,
Yeah,
not financial advice. But yeah,
yeah. The question is, of course, that would have been good advice when the dollar was a bit lower. Now it gone up quite high. The question is, does it go higher, or is it a good time, for example, to do this strategy? Yeah, because it might come down against other currencies as well.
but then
Because it is quite high now. But then, of course, other currencies can also
come down more.
devalue.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So that's the thing. I mean, if the dollar is coming down, that I personally think that would mean that the other currencies will come down harder.
as well. Mm.
So in relative terms, I mean, personally, obviously not financial advice, but I would recommend holding in dollars.
Yeah, like they say, the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry.
Yeah, well said. Yeah,
Then we
James.
haven't touched yet on the decentralized. Sorry, does James have a question?
Yeah, do we know if the stable assets that Icon Bridge will enable the transfer of be wrapped assets or not? Yep, it'll be wrapped assets.
Yeah, yeah. We do not yet, of course, know how visible that will be for the user, because this is probably is part of the user experience of using the Nexus. So we don't know all details about that, but as soon as we have a live version of the Nexus, then I think all will become more clear how that will look like. But in the background, of course, it will be some type of wrapping.
Then there's a question on NXUSD. Or is that the coin on is it an Avalanche? I think I don't know. I don't know much about it, but I think it's an Avalanche.
Doesn't ring a bell for me. You can.
Yeah, yeah, it's Avalanche. I don't know too much about it, but yeah, I know it's on. Oh yeah, it's Avalanche.
No,
Uh,
we Avalanche not being on the list of the BTP partner networks. We have not yet dug into that one. But we will, of course, on the academy once they would be announced as a BTP partner network.
yeah, I don't
So
know too much about
maybe
it.
before any more questions comes in, but keep them coming. Maybe touch on the decentralized yields at the moment. So on finance currently has between 3.5 and 5.6% yield on our stable coins, including ohm rewards. That is. We know, of course, that they are on within our ecosystem. Apart from simply lending, there are other ways, like the strategy that we covered on a previous episode, which can net you between 13 and 14% yield. So if you're interested in that, I would recommend checking out one of our previous episodes. And then, of course, also just by providing liquidity for the what is it USDS and BNUSD pair, I think, also gives you a higher yield than this simple 3.5 and 5.6% yield. Then Anchor Protocol, of course, it has always been a high interest rate, the highest within the crypto sphere. It has long been 20%, but it has been coming down now, also because the reserves kept depleting. And at the moment, it's sitting at 17.96%. But we expect it, of course, to continue decreasing until an equilibrium is found. And the reserves do no longer have to keep being drained. Then on Near protocol, one of the highest ones is the Origami protocol, which has an average of 6.6% and 7% yield on their stablecoins, and this is including wrapped near rewards, similar like we have with own rewards on finance. Then on Binance Smart Chain, the yields are between 3 and 6.5% on Alpaca Finance. On Polkadot for now, it's still too early. Not too many are live yet because they have just recently been received a parachain slot. So there's not really much to talk about on Polkadot at the moment. Kusama has been live longer. And there is one with a very high yield. I haven't dug too deep into that. It's the Gen Zero protocol. And there is a 92.83% yield. But as far as I see, this is a sort of bailsman principle. So this is very high risk. If you're interested in that, I would recommend digging a lot deeper into it than I did. Such high yields, of course, has a certain risk to it. Then on Harmony, we discussed it briefly earlier. They do not have their own native stablecoins, but the wrapped stablecoins from other ecosystems, they can be supplied on Tranquil Finance, and there you will get between 5 and 11.5%. So there is still, I believe it was for USD. There was a high demand and a high interest of 11.5%. So if you're sitting on some USDT and you're interested in figuring out how to bridge to Harmony, then you can have your 11.5% USD yield. However, and this is of course if you're into decentralized platforms, because if you supply it on IconFi, given the fact that it's compounded, I think every 2 blocks, or what is it? It gives you a yield of 11.6%. So it's more or less the same. So if you want to have it centralized, you have IconFi. If you want to have it decentralized, you could use it on Harmony via Tranquil Finance for the same type of yield. And then on Algorand, you have the AlgoFi protocol, which gives you about 5.5% yield on your stablecoins. So what you can see is that still in the centralized protocols, they have most of the time a higher yield, apart from, of course, Anchor protocol, which stands out from the rest at the moment. But this brings us again into the discussion of how sustainable is this yield.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, in terms of yields, the centralized ones, in terms of the centralized ones, IconFi, I guess, gives the highest yield thus far, isn't it?
Centralized, yeah, that's the high. Of course, I didn't. There are of course others, but with the names that I mentioned, Celsius, Crypto.com, BlockFi, Nexo, I think we have the top ones already. I might have missed somewhere someone that offers a higher yield, but I haven't found it. So if anyone is able to share it with us, please do. But as for now, I myself am happy having a good allocation in ICANN.
Yeah, guys. I mean, like, I mean, Icon Bridge and BTP. Once it goes live, and there's going to be endless opportunities. So, if you guys, I'm sure are experts in other chains. So if you find anything that is useful, please do share with us and the community. We would love to hear your thoughts uh, on yield and any other aspect of a stablecoin that we haven't focused on. I know NX USD is something that we'll look at once Avalanche is close, or if it's announced that it'll be connecting. So yeah, there's see there's some questions coming in.
Midas Finance was mentioned. Looking at the name of Midas, it might have been something gold stablecoin related. I don't know. It's CFI you mentioned.
Midas Touch, yeah, interesting.
Midas Investments.
Yeah, Midas
It's
Investments.
and it's centralized.
Midas Investments.
That's first that I heard of it.
2018. Is Ohm going to allow to stake stablecoins? That's a good question. What do you mean stake stablecoins? So they do. You can supply stablecoins as it is on Ohm. So you can supply BNUSD. Sorry, you can supply a few other stablecoins right now, USDS and things like that.
Stake stablecoins. Yeah, maybe explain what you mean with stake,
Yeah.
Mary Chain.
Do you
Because
mean instead of Ohm?
currently you can earn via supplying it as collateral
Yeah.
as a lender. So I'm not sure what you mean with staking.
Do you mean how similar Ohm does it, where you give ICX voting power? Hmm.
If someone wants to speak on stage,
Yeah,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Yeah,
Currently, we're waiting for some people typing in chat. So
yeah, we'd love to hear
might
from you
be
guys.
faster if you're happy to come on stage.
Yeah, I think Deckard is has got some uh, few areas that we've not heard of. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on some new stuff that's coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, whether James, whether Ohm will be adding those stablecoins, I think they will at some point be added. I'm not expecting this to happen in the unaudited version of I Can Bridge going live. I'm expecting first for the audits to be done, and maybe then yes, I'm sure more will follow.
Yeah, and an audit to take, at least this is 2 months.
And also when adding them, whether it's on ohm or on balanced or maybe on equality or on convexus, what I also think is with it's not just stable coins, but also the native coins of these networks. it would be interesting if we have the liquid versions of them, meaning if those are proof of stakes, that they are added as the liquid version, like SICX instead of ICX, because that would mean that the ones bridging it won't lose the value of it being staked. But we're not. That's not of course relevant for stablecoins.
Yep. Some questions coming in. Actually, I forgot about it because I was thinking about staking like on crypto.com. Constant percentage and for specific specified period. Mm.
You mean like ICOFI?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a different
yeah.
different
Or even on Binance. Yeah.
flexible or a fixed term.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think that's the aim of Ohm of giving flexible and fixed terms. I don't think that they will be doing that. I think
Yeah.
it will always be a flexible one.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited to bridging the liquid version of the connected network would be really interesting. Yep. That's something that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, the only thing is that again you have to put trust in the party that is managing that pool. So for SICX, there is a there is a pool, and this pool is managed by a certain team who set up the pool. So it does add a level of trust here as well. Huh? So you will not be just adding pools because this is an additional vulnerability. Yeah? The pool can be attacked, so you have to make sure that if you add assets from such a pool, that the pool is safe and trusted.
Yeah, and plus there's enough liquidity.
Yeah, as well. Yeah.
The other points. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Stephen, what you mentioned about pre-audits and external audits, I think it's important to mention that Icon Bridge, or reiterate that Icon Bridge is going live pre-audit. That means that not it doesn't mean that the external audit is not going to take place. It's just that Icon Bridge will be released while the external audits are going on. Or so important to keep in mind about that. Um, so there will be
Yeah.
some level of protection. I'm sure that the protocol that Icon will place, maybe by way of some sort of you know a cap in terms of TVL or something like that. Yeah, just to make sure that uh, there's level of protection since it's
Yeah,
pre-audit.
yeah, yeah. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And then that level can be managed over time, and they can increase it once the trust is higher. But yeah, that's also the strategy that we have heard from Balance, for example. If they are adding new collateral to back BNUSD with it, that they will put a cap on it initially, so that ICX will remain for at least a certain period the largest asset backing BNUSD, and the same will go for Ohm. Once they will add a new asset, I'm sure when it's especially when it's breached, that they will put a cap on it. If in some way the asset becomes compromised, that it does not create too big of a financial disaster.
Yeah.
And you can also, like they are doing now with BNUSD, for example, you can add it as collateral to lend, and you can earn yield on it, but you cannot use it as collateral to borrow against, because this is how an exploit could happen. Of course, if some pool somewhere is compromised, people are able to mint it endlessly. They supply it on home, they borrow against it, and they go away yeah, with what they borrow. So this is also then a potential of launching it, not having the option to borrow against it, just supplying it against it. But then again, yeah, you also have to create enough utility for people to bridge it. So yeah, maybe just earning yield on it might not be enough if they cannot use it as collateral. So that's also something that needs to be taken into account.
Yeah, indeed. Does
All right, I don't see anyone writing more questions so far.
yeah,
Don't think anyone has asked to come on stage.
yeah, we'd love to hear your voices at some point. But yeah,
Or if you have some, like Deckard, for example, did, if you have some interesting information to share with us from your experience, being centralized, decentralized, whatever. I've seen Deckard, for example, mention the Midas investments with a high yield on stablecoins. I never heard of it, but of course, with such high yields, it's interested looking into it. Do you have personal experience with it, using it? Have you been using it for a long time already? So that would be interesting if you have, yeah, information that we haven't been talking about today. We are also eager to learn on our side, so we can help spread the knowledge.
yeah. Hi, F13, another frequent community member in our discussions. Good to have you as well.
So Mary Chain has asked, do you think BNUSD is secure enough? The rebalancing has previously been fairly unpredictable. Do you feel this makes it more risky? Well, it's not that that BNUSD. Well, the rebalancing mechanic did what it was supposed to do. Unfortunately, this was at the protected BNUSD, but it was, of course, against maybe the interest at the time of the people protecting it by using their ICX as collateral. At the moment, it is already more stable. It has been over a month since any rebalancing in either direction has occurred. So people that are doing it now are earning BALN rewards without any rebalancing for over a month at the moment. But you never know, of course. Volatility in the market is a factor that can influence it. They are tweaking it, the rebalancing mechanism, and they are continue to do so. So for now, yeah, we never say never, of course, but I feel that the team is learning with all experiences, and they are improving continuously. So I have faith that it will only improve.
Yeah.
And of course, once we have multi-collaterals, ICX will not be the only asset impacted. And the more TVL that you have on it, the less that the people will offering the collateral will suffer from it.
And also it'd be interesting to know the BNUS whether ICX would be the only collateral that BNUSD will have. It'll make sense for them to kind of diversify um, the backing.
Yeah, indeed.
Had some money balance. Let's say it wasn't fun.
At that time, anyone who was in the borrow strategy suffered from it. Maybe some less and some more, depending on how soon you got out and how many funds you had liquid to pay back your BNUSD. If you had a high risk strategy, meaning that you used your BNUSD that you minted to buy ICX, then you suffered a lot because you and especially if you didn't have any assets liquid enough to immediately swap back to BNUSD to repay your debt, then you were able to stand to get liquidated. So and this is what happened with many. They didn't have enough funds liquid, or they used their BNUSD to take leverage on a volatile asset like ICX, which at that time crashed in price. So they were not able to bring their thresholds low enough to avoid liquidation. So yeah, this is also a live and learn type of moment for many, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a nightmare for me as well, as in more than nightmare, was like shock. I was in shock. I was like, what just happened? But yeah.
So Decker shared something. He has been using Midas for over 3 years, so that's already a nice amount of time. They started about 4 years ago as a masternode staking node platform. Last year they changed a lot of things. Now they are utilizing DeFi protocols in the background for yield generating. They call themselves CDeFi, getting high yields from DeFi possible, but with the CeFi interface for the users. Okay. Thank you for sharing, Deckard. It's very interesting, and I will also be looking at it. I'm always looking for diversifying, not putting too much in the same place. So, and of course, having many CeFi decreasing their yields, like Crypto.com recently did. They dropped with 4%, and also. What is it? Celsius also dropped quite a lot. Now sitting at 7, while it was 10 previously. So it's always interesting to learn about others. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, there's the American has a question coming in, but yeah, until that question comes in, Stephen, thanks a lot for all the information that you provided us about the different chains. Final thoughts, excited about Icon Bridge? What are you specifically excited about?
There's so much to be to be excited about for Icon Bridge. Well, for instance, for what we're doing with the Monks Academy, which will allow us to investigate cross chain strategies. So there is so much to cover as we try to do now, just investigating which stablecoins there are on the partner networks. There will become only more partners. There are, apart from just stablecoins, there are of course all other type of strategies. So there is so much to do and learn by having access to more ecosystems. Then apart from that, of course, you also have the NFT ecosystem with what is Wonder Game is it now? For example, launching on two separate networks. And also what Klaus is doing, they're also using the interoperability feature of Icon Bridge BTP by mutating their assets by moving them to separate blockchains, to different blockchains. So much to be excited about. Also, Gangster Bets also making moves in the interoperability space. So
Mhm.
yeah. I think there is a lot to do, and probably not enough time to research everything.
James, I think, has done a bit of a quick investigation on Midas, and he's like, whoa, 18% on ETH, 13% on BTC, 20% on USDT. Ooh, sounds,
Those are eye-watering yields.
yeah, yeah, it is.
Always the question is it too good to be true? True.
Yeah, is it sustainable?
Now,
Yeah,
Eckert has been using it foot for already 3 years. So apparently it comes from somewhere. Even if it's a pyramid scheme, normally that maybe it doesn't last 3 years. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to dig deeper into it and see how they generate their yields. Um, so uh, yeah, even 20% yield on USDT, even if it's backed by, for example, staking from assets. Yeah, I don't know many cryptocurrencies that offer a yield that's higher than 20%.
yeah. 20% is amazing, but they will do it. They will lower it. Let me find out. Find the post.
Yeah, for me, everything double digit is fine. Huh? 10% yields, I'm more than happy with that. If I can diversify with 6 different providers, for example, that can offer 10 or more than 10% yield, I'm happy. But most of them are now dropping below the 10 mark, so it would be interesting.
Yeah, interesting indeed. Almost too good to true, but might be worth looking into more. Thanks for the info, Descartes. Yep, indeed.
Indeed.
So yeah, is there any questions that we missed out on? Doesn't seem like it. So yeah, thanks a lot for your time, Stephen, again. And next week, guys, we've got a really, really nice one in terms of uh, the Boosted Home testnet. We'll be going over the testnet. We'll be going over Boosted Home specifically on the news that was shared by the early contributors on Biome. Really, really bullish on it. Obviously, a point to note is that Biome is not going to be launched. The testnet is live, but since it's been a requirement from the Icon Foundation that all the contracts need to move to Java from Python. So um, that might take a couple of months to go live. But yeah, the testnet is live, and we'll be discussing it next week. So anyone inquisitive to find out more about Biome and how they can take advantage of it when it goes live, join us next week. So until then, guys, thank you very much for your time and being there with us. And Stephen, thanks again.
Yeah, no worries. I was happy to be here.
All right, take care.
Take care, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.